Good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Greenfield. I am a professional independent facilitator with Greenfield and Associates. First, I would like to thank Cognitive Leap and all the wonderful folks, Fiona and Jack and Dr. Fong, that invited me to come out and speak with you all tonight. Cognitive Leap is an awesome solution for our folks with disabilities that have autism and ADHD. And it's awesome that they're not only helping folks get better and improve their symptoms, but also that they have the willingness to have someone like me come out and try and help all of you. So thank you very much. So my name is Bill Greenfield, and I have been working with people with disabilities for about 25, 26 years now. I've worked in multiple capacities as a special education teacher, a special education administrator, and now also as a professional independent facilitator. I have been an independent facilitator for almost 2 years now. The reason such a short amount of time is because it's a brand new program. And it was in pilot until July of 2023. And then it became available to anybody who has a child or their own person or an adult that gets services from Regional Center. So tonight specifically, I'm going to be talking to you about the self-determination program. We're going to talk about what it is and how do you get into the program. We're going to talk about the thing that's at the center of it, which is something called a person-centered plan, because that drives everything. Okay, we're also going to talk about how do we choose services and some options, and what are the ways that self-determination can let you choose your own services that fit your own person, as opposed to them just saying, well, your child has a disability, and so there's something wrong with them, so we're going to give them this to try and fix them or cure them, which is the wrong kind of thinking. Please know that fundamentally, I believe, as do folks that run in the circles that do self-determination, that all people have equal worth. Yes, you might have a disability, but everybody has things in their life that they're trying to overcome. And we see people with disabilities as very capable, as just as smart and just as worthy of love, care, and attention, and a good life that they choose for themselves as any other person, including ourselves. And so that's fundamentally different than the way a medical model type institution like Regional Center works. A little bit, we're going to talk about self-determination, finding services. Also tonight, I'm going to leave some time at the end so that if you have individual questions, I can answer them for you. Some of the questions may be broad, and we'll share that with the whole group. Some questions may be more personal to the person in your life with a disability that you're looking to move into the self-determination. And if we have to, we can kind of go off to the side and do that in a more confident manner. And it'll be up to you how you kind of want to do that. So let's talk about the self-determination program. Everybody here know a little bit about it, or is this brand new to you? Reason is I'm going to tailor how I explain it to folks that are brand new, don't know anything about it, okay? All right, so self-determination as we know it was entered into law in California in 2013 by then Governor Brown. And this is actually this type of a program is available in about half the states in the United States now. And basically it's managed by something called the DDS, which is the Department of Developmental Services. And through a law that was signed by Governor Brown, it basically said that all regional centers and all persons receiving funds that have a disability must be viewed and treated from a point of being a person, not being somebody that is broken or diseased or ill that needs treatment. Does that mean our folks with disabilities don't need services? Absolutely not. They do. But it's changing how you look and think about it. As part of implementing that, Governor Brown and the Department of Developmental Disabilities came up with what they coined the self-determination program. And fundamentally what it does is it shifts the power in how you get that money and how you spend it. So if your child is going to regional center, or your son or daughter or adult or child, doesn't matter. And let's say they're getting $1,000 in services for something. In self-determination, instead of them telling you which vendor you can go to, and then your child is just given those services, you get to decide, A, is this the service I want for my child? And B, I get to choose the person that I think is best at providing that. And they're going to give you the money to make that decision and be able to make that choice. So it's fundamentally different. Most of you aren't in self-determination. You don't know this, but each child and adult with a disability in regional center has a budget. They don't like to tell anybody the budget unless you request it and you're going into self-determination. But they have decided behind the scenes how much money they're going to spend on each person. And so our role is to help you get that money. And then if there's additional needs that the regional center hasn't met, that falls under their guidelines, we're going to ask for additional funding to get those services met. And so what it really does is it gives you more freedom, control, and responsibility. And the reason I put responsibility in is, yeah, you have freedom and control now when you get that money and you can use it. And it's held by something called a financial management service, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But with that freedom also comes the responsibility. If you don't spend the money, you don't get it next year. If you make a bad decision and somebody, doesn't do a good job, you don't have any recourse but to go to yourself or find a new provider. So there is some responsibility, but 99 times out of 100, that's not going to happen, because you're going to have folks like me helping you every step of the way. All right, so here's how the self-determination program works. You get your own budget. You get the money the regional center was already spending on your person, plus any unmet needs we can get. And then you get to choose the services. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you Cognitive Leap's example, okay? I'm getting ABA services, and I've got a Betty, which is a behavior service that's coming out and helping my person with a disability. And let's say they're, paying $30 an hour times 12 hours a week times 52 weeks a year. Now you can choose who does those ABA therapy. You may want to choose Cognitive Leap. They have great ABA therapists here. You may want to try their HFS therapies. You can use that, right? You can get the things that you want. So it allows you to have more control and a better sense of what you're getting, because you're the one putting in charge. Because that ultimately, people with disabilities still have a right to be in charge of their own life, right? So how do you enter the self-determination program? Let me walk you through the steps, okay? First, you have to go to a little orientation seminar. It's online. You can access it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't know if everybody here's regional center of Orange County. There's folks coming from other counties, but every regional center has their own version of a little online orientation. Takes about 20 minutes to 30 minutes. It's not a test or anything. You just have to watch their video, and that's their way of satisfying to the state that you understand what you're doing. The next thing you do is you contact someone like myself, a professional independent facilitator, who will walk you through and help you every step of the way as your advocate in this process. Please know that my services, or any independent facilitator's services, are 100% free to you. You will never have to write a check for a nickel in your life. I mean, you want to buy some food for me, I'll eat it, you know what I mean? But you don't have to pay for us. We're contracted with the regional center and they pay us. So the next step is to prepare for entering self-determination. And the way we do that is we develop something called a person-centered plan. I'm going to talk a lot more about that in a few minutes, okay? After we develop the person-centered plan, we're going to request that budget from the regional center, and they're going to give us it. It'll be a piece of paper. They'll email it to you as a PDF file. And that'll have every service, what the hourly rate, the amount of hours, and the amount of hours per year, chunked out, and you'll get a raw number. We then take that number and that amount of money, and we sit down and look at the person-centered plan and look at what are the real needs of that person. Is there some stuff that we need to help our person with that maybe isn't covered by regional center? And then we're going to go back to the regional center and say, hey, this is all good, but we would also like this. And then we negotiate with them and get them to pay for extra services for them. Okay. And again, you don't have to know any of the expert knowledge of that. You don't have to be a good negotiator because we do it all for you. That's our job. Okay. Then what we're going to do is once we get a final number, we're going to choose some services. Well, actually, you're going to choose some services. We can help you and point you in some directions and give you some referrals. I'll give you an example. A person with autism really struggles to connect with others. They struggle to make eye contact. They struggle with conversations, things like that. Believe it or not, therapeutic horseback riding is very helpful for that. Because when you work with a horse, as I'm learning, they kind of mirror your state. So the more you can connect with that horse and be calm and stuff, the more that horse is going to respond to you. So that you can use that as a way of helping somebody begin to connect with other living things. And then from there, they generalize it out to humans and family members and then general humans, people in the community. So that's something that isn't traditionally offered by a regional center, but we can choose it and get your son or daughter signed up for it. And they can then get that as a service. The other thing is that it's against the law for them to give you money, meaning regional center can't write you a check for $100,000. I have a couple of clients, actually 3 of them right now, that have annual budgets of over $250,000. And I have some as low as maybe 20, 25. But I have some folks that require round-the-clock care. We have certified nursing assistants. We have nursing on staff 24/7 a day, so they don't have a seizure or die. And they have a massive budget. So the regional center is going to write you a check for $250,000. Okay, they're not allowed to. But what they can do is take that $250,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 and give it to what's called a financial management service. Financial management service is like a bank. Okay, they hold the money in trust, and then when you say, pay this man for therapeutic horseback riding, they write a check to him for you. And you have a budget you work off, and you can spend that down as you see fit. What we do is we help you connect with those, because there's only about 7 or 8 of them operating in the state right now. And some of them are good and some of them are not so good. And so I will push you in the right direction and give you some choices. Okay. Then after we do that, we have to then turn back into the regional center exactly how we're going to spend the money. So we're going to say we're going to go to his therapeutic horseback riding, and it's going to cost $155 a session, twice a month for 12 months, and that gets added to the budget. And then we're going to get cognitive leap training, and it's $4,000 a quarter. I don't know the number. I'm just using a hypothetical. And then we're gonna list that, and then we're going to go to her ABA service, and we're going to get ABA from her. And that gentleman over here is going to be your respite worker, and we're going to hire him in, and he's going to provide hours of respite service, and so on and so forth, all the way down the. Oh, and he owns a gym, so we're going to get a membership in his gym so that he can go. Our folks with a disability can go work out and exercise. And we're gonna put this basically life plan together. Okay, then we're going to turn that back in. They're going to say, yes, you haven't overspent. And then the program starts.
Oh, FMS model.
FMS model. Oh, that's a great question. There's 3 ways that your FMS can work for you, and they charge a different rate to your budget based on that. They can be a bill payer, where they simply, you direct it and you pay the bill. They can also be a co-employer, which means if I hired this gentleman, we would co-own the employer burden. So I would help with hiring and firing, and the FMS would do the payroll stuff. Or you can be sole employer, where you're your own employer. So if I hire this gentleman, They are my actual employee. But then I pay less. I only pay for maybe payroll services from the financial management service. And I have to go buy workers' comp insurance and do all that myself. So there's 3 different ways you can use them. Each way they charge you a different fee. So bill payer only, they don't charge a thing because they're just simply writing checks but if for co-employers, they might charge, let's say I'm paying them let's say $30 an hour, they might charge 20% over that. So to my budget, it's 36%. Or $36 on the 30. And that's to cover the payroll, the withholding and all that kind of stuff. And then sole employer might only be 10%. So then you get charged $33 an hour and he's making 30 to just only pay for the payroll services. So there's, and again, I walk you out individually when you're ready to do this. We'll literally walk you through each model. We can run financial scenarios and we can also talk about how much liability do you want to take out. If in a sole employer model, for instance, if they decide to take you and you're the employer and they decide to take you to labor court or say, I have to go out and workers' comp, you're the one that's responsible for it. Whereas if it's co-employer, the FMS is responsible. That's why they charge more because they have extra liability insurance. Or if I don't have to hire anybody, I'm just buying services, yeah, I can just use the bill payer model. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then step 3 of getting into the self-determination program is you begin your year 1 of being in self-determination and running your own program. Now, once you're into the program, we're no longer paid by the regional center. You still don't have to pay for us though. If you wanted our help, most families, for instance, I'll write myself in for 4 hours a year. The reason is at the end of your first year, and every year you have to renew your budget. You're probably going to want a few service changes. You're going to want a little more money. For instance, this gentleman we hired may want a raise. Most people want a raise every year, especially if they're doing a good job. So then that means we have to get the money to be able to give him his $3 an hour raise or whatever we give him, right? So now we have to go back to the regional center, redo the spending plan, ask them to spend more money or meet them in the middle, adjust our services or hours and things like that. And again, that takes some expertise. So I might write myself into that $10,000 budget for $400. And so that comes out of your son or daughter's budget, but it's not enough that it's gonna, kill their services. Yes.
So with your services, would you embed that in the budget submitted to the
Yes,
regional
it's
center?
part of the spending plan. There's a line item, independent facilitator services.
And they are expecting that.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely. I don't mean to say that parents or families aren't smart. Okay. Again, I run special education programs during the day in addition to this. I've met some smart families, and especially our families with a little older children that have been in the system for a while, and you've had regional center for a while. You kind of have figured out how to play the game a little bit, and you're pretty good negotiators. But when you're negotiating higher budgets, when you're negotiating services, you don't know who the service providers are in the area. Like if you ask me right now, I could refer you to 7 or 8 different ABA companies. Or I really want to know where therapeutic horseback riding is. I know where the 5 of them are in the county, and I know I have first name basis with everybody. If you want specialized swim programs for your kiddos because they need to learn how to swim, be water safe, especially here in California, everybody's got a pool in their backyard. Every community has a community pool. They're going to have an opportunity to fall in the water. I can tell you who are good and who aren't good at doing therapeutic swim lessons and special needs swim lessons. That's where we're helpful. We're good on the money budget side, and we're really good at connecting you with services. We also play an important role in helping you interview and choose the people that are going to work with your kiddos. Because we criminally background check them. We're gonna run them for live scan fingerprints. I'm going to dig deep, as will you. When somebody gives us a resume, let's say they're gonna go work for this gentleman right here, right? We're gonna really vet that person that's gonna be working directly with him. Okay, because what I don't want is somebody that's incompetent, dishonest. They're gonna be in your house, in your car. They're gonna be driving your son or daughter, maybe in a car to things. Okay, they're gonna be maybe sometimes alone. Okay, and I want nothing bad to happen to your children. I'm a dad myself. I think everybody here is a parent, right? I'm a dad myself. And the thought of finding somebody that's a creep or who's unsafe to work with my child. Hey, it happens, hey, you actually, I don't want to say regional center does a bad job, but a lot of these vendor companies will take anybody off the street because they're desperate to hire people. I like to think that we do a little better job of vetting our employees and our companies are going to work with our kiddos. Because I put myself in your shoes. And my standard is what I let my own son work with whoever this company is or whoever these people are. And if I have a bad feeling here, then we're not going to hire them. We'll go find somebody that will. And so we try and be kind of your partner in this, for lack of a better word. You know, everybody deserves some good counsel and a third party view at things. Okay, so I talked about at the beginning this person-centered plan, right? In self-determination, it all is built off of this. Okay. So let me talk for a quick second. I talked a little bit about person-centered thinking versus system thinking. Right now, your son or daughter are in regional center. Regional center diagnosed them with some kind of a disability or illness. And whether or not they have it, true or not, they look at it like a patient at a medical facility. Here's somebody with a disease, an organic disability. Something's wrong with them. So we need to find services to fix them. Okay? It's a subtle thinking thing. We look at it from, here is an awesome person who has challenges. They may be different than my challenges or his challenges or Fiona's challenges, but they still have challenges. We all do. But they're also whole people who are wonderful people who deserve the same goals and life aspirations that every single one of us, myself included, have in life. They deserve to grow up and have families. They deserve to go to university. They deserve to work and feel good about themselves and earn a paycheck and be able to pay for their own place to live and be able to pay for their families. They deserve that. That's a very different way of thinking about it than something's wrong and I need to cure them or fix them. Okay. So that's the first and most important part is the person-centered plan helps the person define who they are in those terms, in positive terms. The focus in a person-centered plan is about strengths. It's not about weaknesses that need to be fixed. It's about strengths that need to be built upon. Every one of us here has things in life that they're better at than others. Smart people take those strengths and they capitalize them and use them to their best ability. They don't spend their life energy. Some of your life energy may be spent trying to build up what you perceive as a weakness or something you're not great at. But an even more important part is I'm going to find out what I'm good at and I'm going to capitalize it. Like I can tell you, and I'm not trying to brag, I'm good at helping people. I'm good at talking and presenting and training people. I'm good at planning. Those are three things I'm good at. So that's why I do this. If I was good at building machines or I was good at drawing a house on a computer, I would go be an architect or an engineer, right? Because it's my strength. So our folks with disabilities have strengths too. Sometimes they're just invisible to others because they don't choose or are able to see them. We help take those strengths and bring them out to the surface so then we can build on those, okay? The other thing that a person-centered plan does by way of the process that we do it is it builds learning of the person because they get insight and learn about themselves. It builds partnerships, not just with parents, but what about their best friends? What about caregivers? What about people in the community that know them, right? So what we're trying to do is build a community of strong people around a person so that everywhere they turn, they have circles of support of people that can help them in their life. very often those people that are in their circle of support are also the people that sometimes we can marshal their resources when we're building out this wonderful person-centered plan to be able to be mentors and helpers and help lift them up and move them forward. Person-centered planning means helping a person plan for their own goals. Now, I know if you have a little kid, you have a 3 or 5 or 10-year-old, that own goal is going to come through mom, but it's helping people or dad build their own goals and begin to live in a life of dignity. If we think about our persons with disabilities, especially if they're by the time they get into school, their whole life revolves around somebody else doing for them, giving them their therapy, pulling them out, doing this, doing that, doing the other, and they very rarely have a chance to express, this is what I'm good at. Guess what? This is the good I can do for Fiona and for the world or all of it. If you think about it, they don't have those opportunities, especially when they're younger, right? Part of a person-centered plan is giving that sense of self-esteem and dignity that they do have some things that are good about them and they do have something to give the world and give their families, right? And it's hard when all day, every day, you're this disabled person that's getting all these services and, you know, it fundamentally makes you put you in a one-down position compared to the rest of the world. This tries to level that playing field and put everybody on the same field. The other thing that it does, it's really important, is person-centered plan is a roadmap, not only for your child, of where they're going to go next year, 3 to 5 years, their lifetime, so they have a path moving forward. If I asked every one of you right now, what are you going to be doing in 3 to 5 years, you could tell me what you think you might be doing, or, you know, make a really good educated guess. Funny thing, when you ask people with disabilities, they struggle to see beyond maybe tomorrow or the next week or the next year. So we build that in. The other thing is it's a roadmap to funding so that we can help them get there. Does that make sense? Okay. An example, I recently got one of my clients a really neat 3-wheel tricycle, but don't think like a little kid's tricycle. It's a big industrial tricycle like they have like at warehouses where you can put 200 or 300 pounds of stuff in the back and you can ride it over and deliver the parts. Like it's a big sturdy thing. It's for an adult. I could ride it. Okay. Instead of it being, it's a tricycle so that they can ride to the store. Guess what that tricycle is now? It's a small business vehicle because they put a tub on the front and they sell cupcakes and stuff. And they go to the Irvine Farmers Market with it sometimes. And she rides it out and she puts up her little umbrella and she sells her homemade goodies. So now, yeah, she's doing all those other things that we look at from the I'm trying to get the sick person well model. But guess what else? She's a small business owner. It's a micro business, but she's a small business owner now. She makes money. She's paid for that tricycle that we got paid for by Regional Center. She's earned like $9,000 since April. She's doing something right. Think about it. Right? She's 19 years old. Okay. Didn't graduate from high school. If you want to get like technical, her IQ is 40. She's very low. But she's sweet as peaches. She loves to bake. She loves to move around. So she gets on that tricycle and she rides it over to Irvine Valley College, posts up in the parking lot. I think that's where she's at now. Her mom shows up with a flagpole. They get the stuff out of the trunk of the car and put it in the tub of her thing. She has a little switch and it keeps it warm. So you get warm cookies and cupcakes from her. You know, one time she put dry ice in the bottom. She sold homemade popsicles. Okay, you got this sweet girl doing this. Okay, she's got this little sign. Do you think everybody that walks by doesn't want to eat one of her cookies? Or on a hot day doesn't want to eat her popsicle while they're going around looking for everything, right? Yeah, come on in, man. Okay, that is what we're talking about. Okay, looking at it from a different perspective, taking something that was designed as a tool to fix somebody and instead turning it into a strength, something good that they can do. Again, it's the most significant part of any self-determination plan or program. Okay. So, as I kind of talked about earlier, Through that person-centered plan, we're gonna find needs. Those are the needs the person has, not things that are wrong that we have to fix. But for instance, let's talk about this young lady, okay? 19 years old, wants to go to community college part-time. She'll take disabled classes, but she's gonna go just like her peers. She'll go to Irvine Valley College part-time, and she needs a job. Well, she struggles with a day-to-day job, but you know what? Twice, 3 times a month, she can stand for 3 or 4 hours and sell you her cupcakes and her cookies. And have a smile on her face because she's so proud of herself. She made them herself. Because you know what we did? We hired a professional chef to come in and teach her how to make it. And the regional center paid for it. Okay? Because you don't want to taste my cookies. I'm not a cook. That's not my role. My role is to find her the right person. I have a chef that studied in France and knows how to make pastries and stuff. Come in and completely adapted it and taught her how to bake. Okay, and we got that paid for with independent living services because our young folks have to learn how to be able to take care of themselves on their own. They won't have mom or dad or a family member cooking for them, cleaning for them, doing all that for the rest of their life together. So guess what? We got regional center to pay this executive chef to come in and train her up. Now it was very narrow. She learned how to make cookies and cupcakes. That's it. That's okay. That's a start. Right? Next time when she has that down, we're going to, for year 2, we're going to expand her food offerings to something else. And that same chef, we're going to renew that money, is going to come in and teach her how to make something else that she can sell. We've done the same thing with art. There's this thing called Etsy. I've got 2 clients right now that sell bracelets and other jewelry on Etsy that they make at home. They literally go through a magazine. They see a beautiful bracelet. I have an art therapist go out, take them out to the bead shop. They buy the beads and build it and then sell it on Etsy. And someone goes and buys it they've never even met. They're better at their phones. People with disabilities are better at their phones than I am. She's like taking pictures, it's up. Okay. She has her own Etsy business. Okay. And that's just self-employment. Don't even get me started on employment and job coaching and all that kind of stuff. But that's all right.
Oh, too much.
There you go. So the better your person-centered plan is, the better chance they have of getting funds. Needs drive goals. Goals drive funds. Okay. So that's why we do the person-centered plan. All right. So how do we do a person-centered plan? I don't have 3 hours. Actually, it takes about 6 to walk you through every step of the process. So I'm going to kind of give you a broad overview. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do, let's say, who here has a child that wants to enter self-determination? Anybody here? All right. So I've been picking on you all night. I'll pick on you again. Okay. What's the name of your son or daughter? Isabel. So Isabel would like to enter the self-determination program. The first thing I'm going to go, depending upon her age, if she's an adult, I'm going to go to her. If she's a minor, I'm going to go to mom and dad. Say, hey, as we start the process, I need to know everything I can about your daughter. So can you please give me any school records, IEPs, triennial assessment reports, things like that. If they've been to a doctor and any kind of a medical diagnosis, like a pediatric neurologist for autism or ADHD, things like that, can you get me a paper that says that? Is there any behavioral issues I need to know about? Because I can get more funding if a person needs extra support. So we're going to talk about that and any behavioral reports. And then I'm going to have them sign a release of information. And I'm going to ask the regional center for their IPP. That's their individualized program plan. It's like an IEP at school. They call it IPP at regional. That's going to have a bunch of information I need on it. The UCI number, the services, things like that. Then I'm going to ask, because it takes a little while for them to get it to me, for the budget. So that's step 1. Then I'm going to make an appointment. And we're either going to sit down in person or over Zoom. I have a client that lives in Northern California. They demanded to use me. And I was like, are you sure? I live in Mission Viejo. You live in San Francisco. It's a little bit far away. They're like, no, we'll just do Zoom. I'm like, cool. All right, we'll do Zoom. It's a Zoom world. I like doing things in person. Then I'm gonna get on and I'm gonna go through, it's 18 pages long. I'm going to do what's an interview and we're gonna talk together. But it's not just gonna be me and the person served, it's gonna be mom, dad. It might be a brother and sister. It might be a caregiver, an aunt and uncle, whoever is super important in their life, their closest people in their life. We're all gonna get on and talk together. Because again, it's about lifting up and supporting Isabel. All right, and we're gonna talk about goals, aspirations, dreams. By needs, I don't mean needs things that are wrong with them. I mean, it's like, if I want to have my own 3-wheel cart to sell cookies, what do I need? Well, I need a 3-wheel cart and I need training and or if I need extra behavioral support because I'm up all night and mom and dad are barely ever sleeping, what they need is some respite to give them a break so that they can be the best parents that they can, right? Or if I need to learn how to make my bed and get up on time and an executive functioning training, then I need independent living, sir. And so, but that's what I mean by needs. And we're also at that time, it's not going to necessarily go in the report. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. I mean, I have a few clients that have very severe autism and they're wonderful, great human beings, but they also smear their feces on the wall in the bathroom from time to time. We need to talk about that because we can get that kind of fixed. It's really hard to go to work when you get older if you're going to smear feces. So we've got to extinguish that behavior while at the same time lifting them up and finding somewhere where they can be successful. So we need to talk about all of that. We're not going to put all that in the report. We're going to talk about all of it so that everybody has the same view of Isabel. I'm not saying Isabel does that, but you know what I'm saying? Has the same view of Isabel, right? It's important. Let me go there. Then I'm going to go and write some stuff up, or one of my assistants I just hired might help me and we're going to write some stuff up. And then we're going to meet again. And the way that works is I'm going to email you the draft copy of the person-centered plan. And I'm going to ask you to take some time and really think through about it. Is there anything I need to revise? Wording I need to change? Something I missed? I miss things all the time. Don't expect me to be 100% every time. When we talk for 2 hours, there may be something important there that I missed and I didn't get it down on paper. So you can add it. Or you can say, hey, Bill, it's okay. I don't need much of that, but I need more of this. Oh, Bill, you made a typo error. So you're going to give me some revisions and some edits. Then we're going to get on Zoom or meet up in person one more time. And we're going to finalize that plan. And most importantly, we're going to finalize the goals. We're going to put down everything that we think is important for Isabel. I don't know Isabel's case. They might already have in-home support services, but if they don't, we're going to say in it, I need in-home support services. It's nothing to do with regional center. I want them to have one document that has everything that's a need in there, right? So we're going to put everything down, okay? I'd rather ask for 10 things and get 9 back in terms of funding than only ask for 7 or 8 and get them. But I never knew I could have got the other stuff for your son or daughter because I didn't ask and you didn't ask, right? So I believe good things come to those who ask. Oftentimes too, somebody says no, like the regional center service coordinator says no to something. I can then go out and bust out my rationales and I can run it up the ladder and I can negotiate for that. And then last thing is we turn it in. It's all done. We have a bow on it. We're going to email that into your service coordinator. You're going to be CC'd on it. Everybody's got it. Everybody's on the same page. Okay. That is the person-centered planning process. Done right. So what happens after that? There's other steps we're going to go to beyond that. And I'll talk about it a little bit tonight, but I don't want to take up the entire night talking to you just about all the minute details of it. But just know that the most effective person-centered plans are written by professionals. Number one, we've had the training. I had my first person-centered plan training in 2009. I've been doing it for a long time. I write them for people in industry. I write them for young adults with disabilities in the school system. They're a little different, but it's the same concept, and I'll write them for people that are trying to enter the self-determination program. Now, what's your name again, sir?
Kim.
Kim?
Kevin.
Kevin. Kevin says, hey, but Bill, wait a minute. I know Isabel better than you. I bore her. She's my blood. You're absolutely right, Kevin. However, you're also her dad. Your role is to be her dad. And so the way you see things may not be the way that I can translate into funding for regional center. That's why you need the professional. You need a third party that can look at it and take your passion and turn it into basically where we're taking goals and dreams and turning them into words that regional center understands and can fund. That makes sense. Okay. So we're experienced at this. Use us. You don't have to pay for us. If we ever put something in there you didn't want, you're gonna say, hey, Bill, hey, whoever, I don't want that in there. And they're gonna go, okay, let's just delete it. Okay, that's okay too. Or, hey, Bill, I know my daughter better than you. Absolutely, you do. Isabel also wants this. Oh, cool. I didn't know that. Let's put that in. That allows you to be able to do it. Okay. So again, our services are free. They're paid by regional. We're experienced in this. We're trained and experienced. We have expert knowledge in this. And let's go one more. All right. Now, any questions on person-centered plans before we move into spending plans? And folks, I love it. You guys, this is a lot of information. So please know that this is going to be available for you, not only as a recording, but also I'm happy to send you a PDF of all of these slides to remind you. Okay, yes?
So do we have to get prior approval before getting the service from the regional center?
No, you choose. My company is already vendors with them. It's not the same process where if you want SLS and you have to wait for their vendor, you get to choose this. And so if they were making that decision and telling you who to go to, you're not really in charge. You're not determining your own life there still. So yeah, anybody can use me at any time. And I can work in any regional center in California. Okay. I have courtesy vendors with most of the ones in the area. I have clients in East LA, North LA, Riverside, Corona Norco, Temecula, all up and down South Orange County. I got a bunch up in Brea, Placentia, or Belinda. Yeah, they're all over the place. Huntington Beach. Most cities I've got somebody right in. So
in other words, we can engage your service after this meeting.
yes. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. It may not be me exactly. It may be one of my associates. But know that if you work with my company, whoever is your independent facilitator, they're being directly supervised by me. They have to twice a month meet with me and go over every one of their cases. I'm available for question and answers. I frequently will jump in on meetings. Let's say they're having a person-centered plan meeting. I might jump on and be on there too. Because I'm trying to train them and mentor them and make them the best.
So do you have associates that speak Mandarin?
No, I might have one.
From today's meeting.
After this meeting, I might have one. I actually, this is important for you guys to know. I just finished writing a training program. Starting in about 3 weeks, I'm going to be training people to work for me. And it's a win-win situation. You will make money. Okay. You will make money. Here's what I'm looking for. You have to be a good person. If you're a cheater or you're a thief or you're not safe around children, go the other way. So I'll call the cops on you. Number 2, you have to love people and be willing to see the best in people, no matter what they look like or how they behave or whatever their perceived disability is. You have to treat the same child that's smearing poop in the bathroom with the same care and dignity and love and respect as Isabella or me. You have to be willing to do that. That's not always easy. I ain't gonna lie. It's not always easy. And number 3, you've got to be dedicated to helping people. Because sometimes you're going to work for them and you may not get paid. Or you might work more hours than we can bill and be paid. But at the end of the day, we service our client. We get what we can financially, but we service our client. If you're willing to work within that way of thinking, I'm happy to run you through my training program because the name of the company is Greenfield and Associates. That's my name on it. And I've spent 25 plus years building my good name and reputation, and I'm not gonna have it sullied or soiled by somebody. I'm not talking about we don't make mistakes, but I'm not gonna have it soiled by somebody who A, doesn't care, B, is gonna be hurtful to people with disabilities, or C, not show dignity and respect to others, because then that looks like me. Because you know what they're gonna say? Well, Bill, you trained him or her. What's going on here? And I can't do that. So just know I have high standards. You don't have to have the most knowledge. You don't have to have the most skill. What you have to have is a good heart and be a good person. I can give you the knowledge. I can teach you the skill. I can help you develop. But what I can't change is your temperament. You're either a good person or you're not. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So we talked about spending plans. Okay. Spending plan is nothing more than your version of a budget. But we don't call it a budget in this context because the budget is what the regional center gives you. A spending plan is taking that budget and creating a line item breakdown of every nickel you're going to spend for it. So if they give you $10,000, the spending plan documents exactly what I'm going to spend that $10,000 on. Who I'm going to spend it on, what's the hourly rate or the per session rate, how many times a month or a week or a day are they going to get it, how many months are they going to get it, and the math has to add up. It's not rocket science, but you have to be willing to learn how to use a spreadsheet with me. If you don't already know, you have to be willing to learn how to do some basic math and services. And it's okay, I can teach you that. I had to learn it. I'm not a math guy. It's okay. All right. So we're going to start with that budget. Now, if we discover in the person-centered plan, there's needs that aren't written in the budget, we're going to go to regional center and we say, hey, thank you for the $50,000. But my client really needs a tricycle. She needs a tricycle for her business she's going to do. Plus, she can use it to get around town because she doesn't have the physical ability to ride a two-wheel bike. She's going to ride the next best thing. She's going to ride an adult tricycle. Does that sound fair? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, good. Here's $3,500 in one-time money to go buy that. And then they add it, okay? That's part of what we do. I don't expect, for those of you that want to go training, I do not expect you to know how to do that the first time. We do that together, okay? Your first clients, there's going to be a lot of sitting down with me, or I have another associate who's pretty experienced. Sitting down with one of us, and we're going to walk you through how to do it. After you've done it a couple of times and you've learned it, you'll figure it out. It's not that hard. Plus, you're not gonna turn in any budgets without running them through me, and I'll be CC'd on the email after I've reviewed it too. Okay. Again, that budget lists exactly right how you're gonna spend that money. Again, remember I said we can increase it if there's unmet needs that require funding. And then there's the great news in this. When you're doing it, there's the freedom. You get to choose who you're gonna spend that money on. That's a big deal. Anybody here have a child with severe behavior and has to use behavioral ABA, the heavy stuff? In-home kind of stuff? Okay. So I have a client in Irvine as well. And actually she speaks Mandarin. I'm probably going to refer her to you.
Okay.
Her kid could use Cogleap and a lot of other things. The behavioral respite company came out, hired this girl right off the street. Not fact that she's a girl doesn't mean anything. She just hired this girl to come in, and this kid's having behaviors left and right. Had zero training. She freaked out and left. So left mom in the lurch. Supposed to have time to be able to get her hair done, go grocery shopping, go to 99 Market, get her food and all that for her family while her child was being watched, and the person flipped out and left. Then the agency, which she can't switch from because it was sent by Regional Center of Traditional Services, says, guess what? I don't have anybody that's qualified to do that right now. I'll give you a call when I do. That was April. She just got into self-determination. We were able to hire a company called Embedding and Love that does kind of more difficult stuff. But imagine April, May, June, July, August, half of September, almost half a year, having no chance to have a break, having no respite at all. for those who know respite, respite is an opportunity for family members and caregivers of a person with a disability to have a break. Because for some of you, this is a 24/7 thing. I get it. Your child, you get up every day of your life when they're not at school, you're having to tend to your child. There is no time to go out on a date night with your husband or wife. It's hard to go on family events because what if the child acts up and other members of your extended family don't understand? God forbid you go on a vacation or go back to another state and have to do air travel to visit another family member and see your family, right? You realize that there's a high probability that person may live with you the rest of your life. They're never going to get married. You're going to be 60, 70 years old, 80 years old, and this person with these same similar needs might be living with you. Respite is designed to give you a small minor break each week from that. It's an important service. Everybody should have. I've yet to do a plan right. If it wasn't there, I'm adding respite. Because taking care of the self-care of you as the providers is just as important as any other service. If you're stressed and your marriage is almost on the rocks and you're freaked out and you're anxious and you're going, oh no, every time I pick up the phone, is at the school calling because my son or daughter's having a problem. You know, what am I going to do on Sunday? I'm supposed to go to, you know, his grandma who's older's birthday party, and she's too frail for my son or daughter to be around. You know, oh my gosh, I want to go back. Or what if I want to go back to China and visit family that are back in your homeland? You're going to put a child with behaviors or with a severe disability on an airplane? I don't know. How are they going to be treated by the other country? Sovereign countries have different laws and rules. You have to think about that when you're a parent of a child with a disability. So don't you think you deserve a break? You have a right to be a human. There's no shame in having a day off twice a month on a Sunday or a Saturday, whatever day you choose, to go do some grocery shopping in peace, to go visit my extended family that may not understand or be able to deal with my son or daughter, to go get my own trip to the doctor, go to the dentist or the doctor, whatever it is, you have a right to that. Okay. So that's important. Okay. So while we're talking about service, let's talk about some of the different things that you can get. Okay. And then I'm going to talk about one of my new favorites. Okay. Everybody, regardless of their level of ability or disability, has a right to go out and have social recreation, go to the gym, go exercise, go swimming. You know, they have Special Olympics for just about every sport for people with disabilities. You guys ever watch the Paralympics after the Olympics? There's guys with no arms and legs, swimming across pools, shooting bows and arrows, riding horses, running track. They have a right, just like we all like sport, they have a right to like sport. Art, ABA, social skills, you have a right to behavior assistance, travel training, independent living. For those of you that have young kids, someday they're going to be old enough where they're going to have to learn how to take the OCTA bus or Uber or Lyft. They're going to be teenagers and adults and have to get to places. You might have to work, so you can't drive them to their thing after school. So you need to get them a ride, so they need to learn how to do that. Art classes, therapeutic horseback. It seems like everybody wants therapeutic horseback riding. It is. I went and visited one of the programs. It's amazing. Okay. And then my new favorite, Cognitive Leap. Everybody here know about Cognitive Leap? I'm presuming if you're here, you kind of know. So Cognitive Leap is a system of working with the type of ABA therapy, for lack of a better word. And again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't understand science. I just know that the experience that I've had with folks is that it works. Okay, and I actually have a client I'm in the middle of onboarding right now who's getting it and it's working. Okay, but basically it's a healthcare solution whereby you do different types of therapies and ABA and stuff, but they hook this little thing to their head that helps train their brain waves while they're doing it, so that the things that they learn are more embedded and become more permanent in their brain structure. There's very similar things going on. I'm not saying the science is the same, but there's something called MERT right now. They're working with, especially people with psychiatric disorders, where it literally They use magnets and they put magnetic waves around the brain and it literally changes the way the brain works. Changes the chemistry and stuff like that. Okay? Again, I'm not a doctor, but I know that this works because I have a kid. And again, it's a very narrow data set, but 1 out of 1 folks that I've worked with, it's been effective. So that is something you can get paid for through regional center. And they won't pay for it in traditional services. They'll say, oh, if it can't be billed by insurance, I'm not going to pay for it. But in self-determination, you get to choose what works. You decide. Every kid's different. Everybody's different. Okay? So that's kind of my little spiel for the night.